Arteta is protecting Saka tonight, and if Arsenal don't win this game, that decision will not be forgiven. Let me explain what I mean. Saka is back in the squad. He's been out since the Carabao Cup final, Achilles injury, weeks on the sideline, and now on the biggest match day Arsenal have had in months, he's available. He's there, he's in the building, and Arteta is probably going to put him on the bench. Now, on the surface, that sounds completely reasonable. You protect your best player. You don't rush him back. You bring him on when the game needs him. Smart management, nothing wrong with that. But here's what I can't stop thinking about. Arsenal are level on points with Manchester City. Level, right now, today. Before this game kicks off, it's completely even. And City are in FA Cup action today, which means if Arsenal win tonight, they go 3 points clear with 5 games left. 3 points clear, 5 games left. That's the title. That is genuinely the title within reach. And Arsenal have a home game at the Emirates against the Newcastle side, sitting 14th with nothing to play for. So when I say Arteta's decision matters tonight, I'm not being dramatic. I mean it completely seriously. The lineup he picks tonight is one of the most important lineups he has ever selected as Arsenal manager, because the margin is that small, because the moment is that big, and I'm not sure he's going to get it right. I'm Amelia, by the way. Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel is for Arsenal fans who want to actually understand what's happening tactically, not just react emotionally. Though tonight, if I'm honest, it's hard not to do both. Before we go any further, drop your predicted starting 11 in the comments right now. Seriously, do it before you watch the rest of this video. I want to see how close we are by the end. And if you think Arteta gets this wrong tonight, subscribe, because we're going to be talking about this for a while. Right, let's start where most people don't start. Let's start with the system. Because everyone is already talking about Saka. Everyone is already debating Gyokeres, and I get it. Those are the exciting questions. Those are the names that generate heat. But if we jump straight to the individuals, we miss the thing that actually matters. What does Arsenal's system need to do tonight to beat Newcastle? Think about how Newcastle's set up defensively. Eddie Howe's teams, when they're playing away at a top side, they do not come to play. They sit deep, they get compact, they put bodies behind the ball. 2 banks of 4, sometimes 5 in the defensive line, and they wait. They invite pressure, they absorb it, and then, the moment Arsenal lose the ball in a high position, they go. Direct, fast, 1 pass over the top, and suddenly it's a foot race. So Arsenal's system tonight needs to do 2 things at the same time. It needs to stretch Newcastle's defensive block horizontally, force them to shift, create gaps through movement and width. And it also needs to protect against the counter-attack. No high fullbacks out of position, no midfield gaps, defensive discipline, while also being offensive enough to actually break them down. That sounds simple. It isn't. Because the only way Arsenal can genuinely stretch Newcastle wide is with players who are direct, players who want to go 1 versus 1, players who make a defender think, if I step out, he'll go past me. If I don't step out, he'll cut inside and shoot. Saka does that better than anyone else at this club. And right now, Saka is on the bench. So immediately, before we've even looked at a single name, there is a structural problem with this Arsenal lineup. The system wants width and directness. The solution to that problem is unavailable from minute 1. And everything that follows, every other decision Arteta makes, is built around filling a gap that should have Bukayo Saka in it. That's where the difficulty starts. Now let's talk about the decisions, because there are 3 of them tonight that I think genuinely matter. The The first one is obvious, Saka. Does he start or does he come on from the bench? I've thought about this a lot, and I keep coming back to the same tension. On one side, Saka has not played a competitive minute since the Carabao Cup final. His Achilles has been the issue. Achilles problems are not minor. They're not the kind of thing where you rush back and it's fine. They're the kind of thing where if you push too hard, too soon, you don't just miss a few games, you miss months. Arsenal have 5 games left in the league. 5. If Saka starts tonight and that Achilles reacts badly, he could miss all 5, which means he misses the title run-in entirely, which means Arsenal are trying to win a Premier League title without their best player in the most important period of the season. That risk is real. I'm not dismissing it. But here's the other side. A player's sharpness, their rhythm, their match sharpness, that doesn't come back from training sessions. It comes back from playing. The longer Saka sits on the bench in games like this, the further away he gets from being the player Arsenal need him to be. And if Arsenal win the title in May, and Saka has barely played in the final weeks, was he even part of it? Does that sit right? And there's something else, something more immediate. If this is 0-0 at 70 minutes, and the Emirates is tense, and Newcastle are still sitting deep, and Arsenal are running out of ideas, Arteta goes to the bench. He brings Saka on. And in that moment, every single fan in that stadium feels something shift, because Saka changes the energy. He changes what defenders think about. He changes what's possible. That is worth something, genuinely. Even if Saka is 70% fit, the threat of him is 100% real. So I'm not angry at Arteta for leaving him out of the starting lineup. I understand it. But I need the game plan to account for his absence. I need the first 11 to actually solve the problem without him. Because if Arsenal are waiting for Saka to rescue them from the bench again and again, that's not a title-winning team. That's a team with one answer to every question. The second decision is the one that makes me the most frustrated. And I say frustrated because I think it's wrong. Viktor Gyökeres is expected to be on the bench again tonight. Let me just sit with that for a second. Arsenal spent serious money on a striker this summer, one of the most lethal finishers in European football, a player who scored goals at a ridiculous rate at Sporting. Not just good goals, but important goals, decisive goals, goals in big games under pressure. A player built for exactly the kind of moment Arsenal are in right now. And he is watching Kai Havertz start. Now, I want to be fair to Havertz here because I think he gets unfairly dismissed sometimes. He works, he presses relentlessly, he links play, he drops deep, he creates space for runners. There are things Havertz gives this team that Gyokeres doesn't naturally give. But tonight, Newcastle's centre-backs are physical, they're big, they're organised, they deal with crosses, they win aerial duels, they're comfortable against a striker who drops deep and plays with his back to goal. Havertz, against that kind of defensive pair, is not a threat they will be afraid of. He'll work hard, he'll press, he might even lay something off beautifully in the first 20 minutes. But at the end of the night, when Arsenal need a goal, when it's tight and tense, and there's one chance in the box, Havertz is not the player you trust to take it. Gyokeres is. Gyokeres running in behind off a Rice ball. Gyokeres receiving a cutback in the box and finishing first time. Gyokeres bullying a centre-back for a header from a corner. These are things that can actually happen. These are real goals that come from real moments in real games. And I keep thinking, if Arsenal draw tonight, or worse, if they lose, and Gyokeres has been sitting on the bench the whole time, what exactly was the logic? What was the tactical thinking that said, Havertz gives us a better chance of winning this game than Gyokeres? Because I can't find it. I genuinely can't find that argument. And here's the thing that troubles me even more. If Gyokeres comes on in the second half and scores, what does that do to the dressing room? What does that do to Gyokeres himself? A player who came to this club to be the answer, not the option. You cannot keep a player of that quality on the bench in title-deciding games and expect him to be fully committed, fully motivated, fully present when you need him. Players are human. They feel things. They notice what the manager trusts. I'll say it clearly. Gyokeres should start tonight. And if he doesn't, and Arsenal don't win, that is on Arteta. The third decision is the one nobody is talking about enough. The left side. Eberechi Eze has been excellent recently. I want to be clear about that. He is a brilliant footballer. His technical quality, his vision, his ability to find pockets and create from tight spaces, it's elite level. There's no debate about his quality. But Eze is a number 10. He is not a left winger. He has never been a left winger. He is playing there as a solution to a problem, not because it's the ideal role for him. And against most teams, you can make that work. Against teams who press high and leave space, Eze drifting inside from the left creates all kinds of problems for the opposition. But Newcastle don't press high. Newcastle sit deep, which means Eze drifting inside from the left just gives them an extra body to deal with in a zone they're already comfortable defending. And here's the gap it creates. When Eze comes inside, the left channel is empty. Hincapié is the left back, young, energetic, developing. And if he pushes forward to fill that space, suddenly there's a massive gap on the left side of Arsenal's shape. Newcastle's right midfielder spots it. Ball goes wide, quick switch, and suddenly they're in a transition, with Arsenal completely exposed. That is a real risk. It's not theoretical. It's the kind of thing that happens in the 55th minute of a tight game. When everyone is looking for a goal, the defensive structure loosens, and one moment of inattention leads to a counter that ends in the net. Arteta will know this. His coaching staff will have flagged it. But the solution to it requires Saka, the natural right winger, who keeps the shape wide on that side, to be on the left, or someone else to solve the balance problem. And right now, there isn't an obvious answer. So, the lineup. Let me tell you what I would do. I'm building from the back, because that's how you build a lineup. You start with what's certain, and you work forward. Raya in goal, no debate. He's been excellent this season. His distribution, his sweeping, essential to how Arsenal play out from the back. The back four, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié. Now this is where I want to slow down for a moment, because people talk about the back four like it's automatic, and it mostly is. But Hincapié at left back, in a game this important, against a side that will specifically target transitional moments, requires the midfield to provide real cover. That isn't a weakness exactly, but it's something the system needs to account for. Hincapié has to stay disciplined tonight. He cannot be the player who gets caught forward when Newcastle win the ball back. In midfield, Zubimendi and Rice. This is the foundation. Rice's engine, his ability to break up play, his capacity to drive forward with the ball when space opens. He's been Arsenal's best player in the most important games this season. And Zubimendi alongside him gives the team a level of composure and control that makes everything else possible. Odegaard at number 10. He's back from his knee injury. He played at City. There were moments of real quality. Touches, movement, his awareness of where the ball needed to go. But he also faded in the second half at the Etihad, which means tonight, Arteta needs to know, if Odegaard's legs go at 65 minutes, what does that midfield look like? Because there's no easy replacement for that role. That's a question without a clean answer. On the right, Madueke. He's direct, he has pace, he can carry the ball at defenders and make something happen. I'm comfortable with him there. On the left, Eze. As I said, there are concerns. But the truth is, when Eze has the ball in good positions, he is capable of moments that no one else in this squad can produce. The risk is the shape without him in position, but the reward is those moments of pure creation. And up front, Gyokeres. For all the reasons I've already laid out, this game needs a finisher. It needs someone who makes Newcastle's centre-backs genuinely worried about their one-on-one defending. Havertz can come on in the second half, press the game high, run the channels if Arsenal need to protect a lead. But to start this game, to break down a deep defensive block in the first 60 minutes, you need the striker who scores goals, and that is Gyokeres. That's my 11, and yes, Saka on the bench, waiting, ready. If it's 0-0 at 65 minutes, he comes on. And in that moment, the entire dynamic of the game changes. Not because of what Saka can do in limited minutes on tired legs, but because of what his presence means. What defenders start worrying about, what space suddenly opens up. For Odegaard and Eze, that's the plan. That's how I see it working. Now let me tell you how I think this game actually plays out. Newcastle will defend, that is certain. 4-5-1 off the ball, staying narrow, forcing Arsenal wide, and then winning the second ball. For the first 30 minutes, Arsenal will have possession, but struggle to find the final pass. The Emirates will be patient, but that patience has a time limit. Somewhere between the 25th and 40th minute, there will be a moment. There's always a moment. A set piece, a quick combination that breaks the line, a Madueke run that forces a corner. And if Arsenal score in that window, the game opens up. Newcastle have to come out. The counters become real, but so do the spaces Arsenal can exploit. If it's 0-0 at half-time, the tension builds. The second half will be edgier. The crowd will feel it. Arsenal will push higher. The gaps at the back will get slightly bigger. And Newcastle, disciplined, organised Newcastle, will be waiting for exactly that. This is the scenario I'm most worried about. Not because Newcastle are a better team, they aren't, but because Arsenal have a specific problem with breaking down teams who park deep and stay patient. And when they get frustrated, they make mistakes. And when they make mistakes at this level, in this stage of the season, it costs them. If Saka comes on at 65 minutes and it's still 0-0, watch what happens to the left side of the pitch, because Newcastle's right back will suddenly have the worst 25 minutes of his season. And if Arsenal score from that, if Saka is the difference, then Arteta's decision looks perfect, patient, intelligent, exactly the right call. But if Arsenal don't break through, if Newcastle absorb everything, if the game ends 0-0 or worse, then the questions will be loud. Gyokeres unused, Saka protected. A lineup that was too cautious, too safe, not brave enough, when bravery was exactly what the moment required. And that's the thing I keep coming back to. That's the core of all of this. Arsenal are trying to win the Premier League, not qualify for it, not stay in contention, win it. And there is a specific kind of courage required to win a title. It's not just tactical intelligence, it's not just squad depth, it's the willingness in the moment that matters most to make the bold decision, to trust your best player even when the risk is real, to start your most dangerous striker even when the safer option is available. Pep Guardiola makes bold decisions, always has. Sometimes they backfire, but more often, much more often, they work. Because top players, given trust and opportunity, respond to it. Does Arteta have that boldness tonight? I think he does. I think he's an excellent manager. I think he's built something at Arsenal that is genuinely special. But I also think there are moments, specific games, where he reaches for the safe choice when the brave choice was available. Tonight is one of those moments. 5 games left, level on points, home crowd. The title is right there. This is not the moment for caution. I'll be back after the final whistle for the full breakdown. Whatever happens, we're going deep. Subscribe if you're not already, because this title race is going to the wire, and we are not going anywhere. But before I go, one question. If Arsenal don't win tonight, what's the reason? Is it the tactics? Is it the lineup? Is it the players not delivering when it matters? Tell me below, because that conversation, whatever the result, that's the one that actually matters.